So tell me about the other leaders.
What, from a communication perspective?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, think about it. Let's start with the Greens. Jonathan Bartley and Caroline Lucas, they do a co-leadership thing at the Greens. Now, all I can say is I did one of these videos 2 years ago for the last election, and I gave Natalie Bennett quite a hard time. She didn't come across as particularly confident, and actually I suggested at the time Caroline Lucas is a much better communicator, and I think she is. And Jonathan Bartley, I've seen him a couple of times on television. Actually, he comes across as reasonable. I suppose the problem for the Greens is, for some reason, they can't shift their brand towards something that encapsulates all policies. Because obviously, by virtue of being called the Green Party, it seems environmental policies are the sort of the central pillar of what they stand for. It's a bit like UKIP, sort of one-issue party. But certainly Caroline Lucas, whenever I've seen her try and defend green policies, comes across as extremely reasonable. She comes across as someone who's thoughtful, someone who really understands her subject, and I would say she's a very credible leader for the Green Party, and certainly a wonderful sort of contrast to Natalie Bennett, who really didn't take the opportunity that was there in 2015. Interesting, it's the opposite for UKIP. Nigel Farage was such a huge personality with so much charisma and so much certainty in the way he communicated. And to be honest, anyone who'd stepped into his shoes would have found it difficult. But the two problems for Paul Nuttall, one, UKIP's kind of central plank has happened. It's a bit like if every single green policy in the world had been passed. So the Green Party said, well, what do we stand for anymore? It's all happened. Well, UKIP was all about leaving the European Union. They're now going to lead the European Union, so what do they stand for? So I'm not sure they're going to do very well either. The Liberals, if you think about Tim Farron, I mean, what's interesting, when Nick Clegg was running only 18 months ago or 2 years ago, the Liberals had about 60 MPs, and he'd been Deputy Prime Minister. Tim Farron now, I think, has 9 or 10 MPs or something like that, and he's not as good a communicator as Nick Clegg. Nick Clegg sort of just operated in a very competent way. He was extremely good at answering questions. I remember the debates back in 2010 when everyone was agreeing with Nick Clegg and Nick Clegg was surging in the polls. You know, I thought Nick Clegg was very heavily damaged by having to be in the coalition. A lot of people blamed Clegg for what the Conservatives wanted to do, but he was the junior coalition partner, so what are you going to do? I think, you know, Tim Farron does have an opportunity to pull the Liberal Democrats sort of out of the abyss by sort of saying we are the only real pro-Remain party, and if you want to have proper opposition in the House of Commons, vote for us. I mean, I live in a Liberal Democrat seat with the Conservative as the next placed person. So there is a lot for the Liberal Democrats to fight for. Again, he made that horrific mistake of getting into his religious beliefs. Well, I say he got into religious beliefs. People got into it for him. The problem is he is an evangelical Christian, and that can seem as antithetical maybe to being a liberal. I mean, really, the only thing I've heard about Tim Farron in the first few weeks of this election is his views on homosexuality, which is kind of a bit of a red herring, but it doesn't really help him.
And what about Nicola Sturgeon?
I think she's really good. I think of all the party leaders, she is the most accomplished. She's the most comfortable in front of the camera. She's the most articulate, the best at advocating what she stands for. I mean, interestingly, she's the one person I can't vote for. But I really, I like the fact that she seems to have really done her homework from a communication perspective. And I don't think it's because she's the most charismatic person you'll ever meet. I think she's really worked hard at preparation. So when she is asked a question, she's actually worked out how she wants to answer it. I'll be interested to see how well maybe the SNP have reached a high watermark in the last election. I'll be interested to see how well they do this time. But I think she's a very good leader, both from the way she articulates what the SNP stand for and the fact that she's stable and she comes across as a grown-up. I really like that.